Good. I'm gonna give it a second, but um, yeah, big game for the Hurricanes. 1 second. Oh, shit. All right, now we got a decent amount of people in here. So welcome back, Miami Hurricanes live. Doing a little quick post game recap of Miami's 45-3 uh, beatdown of Bethune-Cookman. Not gonna be too long in here, just a little few minutes, just to kind of break down what we saw. Um, Kind of pretty much what you expected and everything you kind of would ask for Miami to do. 45-3, take care of business. Was not no real concerns. Carson Beck breaks a school record, going 15 consecutive passes, which is a new school record, beating Vinny Testaverde in 1984, I think is what I saw. So that was big. Just myself right now. So yeah, I'm gonna just kind of run through the stats, run through the things you kind of missed if you weren't there. Another big day for Malachi Tony. I think that's the biggest thing. It is real from the looks of it. Another 6 catches, 80 yards. Very involved in this offense. Seems to be taking that slot role in the Shannon Dawson offense. CJ Daniels, I think, is probably the surprise so far of the year. And the guy just makes contested catches. 5 catches, 73 yards, 2 TDs. Um, Carson Beck, when the game was like, I guess, considered not competitive, but like you're at the beginning of the game trying to get into a rhythm. Beck just launches up to him, comes down with pretty much everything. CJ Daniels, really good hands, really solid hands, and not much more you can ask for from him. He has been really phenomenal so far. Those two clearly being the top two receivers in the game for Miami. They got Elijah Lofton a little more involved once a little bit, getting him out in space. They try to get all their tight ends into space. Really, we saw 3 of them between Lofton, Ballman, and then later on in the game, Luca Gilbert, the freshman. So not Luke, yeah, yeah, Luca Gilbert. So we saw a little bit of everything from this Miami offense. Running game looked very solid again. Mark Fletcher, really efficient on the ground and pound offense, had a couple TDs, 11 carries, 86 yards. Nice and easy game for him. Yeah, so it's Bethune-Cookman, so you can't really take away much in terms of just like, it's not a game that you're expecting too much from, not a game that's going to be too difficult. Miami kind of came in, did their business, and going to go home happy. Easy win, best you can ask for. Don't think too much injuries. There's some questions based off who we didn't see play that I could, kind of mention. No JoJo Trader at all tonight, I believe. So, yeah, not a single target, not a single catch, not involved at all. So that is something to keep an eye on. I'm going to keep an eye out on Twitter real fast to see JoJo Trader. JoJo Trader, yeah, no real sign of it. No real sign of JoJo Trader at all in this room. I mean, in this wide receiver room so far through 2 games. Miami really, which is very surprising, the fact Miami pretty much used every single person in that room. We got obviously Tony and Daniels, but we saw a lot of Dalen Upshaw, especially later in the game. Ray Joseph, Nye Carr, Tony Johnson, Josh Moore, Keelan Marion. Like it's a lot of guys in that receiver room, and we still have yet to see JoJo Trader. It's going to be interesting. Not 100% sure where we're going to end up seeing him play a factor or any role this year. Though, whether it's injuries, whether it's they don't prefer him in that receiver room, something's kind of going on there, which is something interesting because I think that's the big guy everybody's been waiting to see, everybody's been waiting for. And we have yet to see him at all through 2 games of this Hurricane season. So yeah, that's something to kind of keep an eye out for. Nothing from JoJo Trader at all. So I think that's so far the only really interesting storyline. No Hayden Lowe, I believe, in this game as well. Didn't seem to play in this game, but he's a freshman, so they probably want to save his keep him as a red shirt for the most part. So can't say I'm too surprised not to see him too much. And yeah, I mean, can't nothing. It's Bethune-Cookman. Can't really ask for much more than what Miami came in and did. In terms of later on in the game, when things got out of hand, you got to put the backups in. Emory Williams, very solid showing, 8 of 12, 77 yards, came in and did his business. Took the only sack of the game. So, if you want to take that for something, I don't really know. Doesn't really matter too much to me. But he came in, was accurate, efficient, got it. He got even a 10-yard scramble for a first down. So good things from Emory. Good things to see him kind of come in and handle his business, handle his game for a little bit. And in terms of freshmen that we saw come in for the game for slight bits of time. Gerard Pringle late on the game. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, not a freshman, but guy, I guess redshirt freshman. But anyways, Gerard Pringle, big 30-yard touchdown later on that game. Kind of showed the burst of speed, hit a hole, even shook off a couple tacklers, and zoom, he's gone. So a little preview of what he could provide with the Miami offense, whether it's in a spot role or later on in the season. Ooh, speaking of running backs, I did forget to mention this. We did not see any bit of Jordan Lyle today. So, given his little bit, he gave the fact he was banged up last week, didn't see him for the rest of that game, and now no action today. Probably more of a precaution, just because I haven't seen anything too worrisome about his injury than anything. But something to keep an eye out for, just because he is supposed to be kind of the little bit of lightning to the thunder that is Fletcher and Marty Brown. Being which Marty Brown played another big role today, second leading rusher. Second leading guy, second most carries on the team, 7 for 35 and a touchdown. He's continuing to do what he does, put his shoulder down, push for yards, kind of consistently churn out yardage right there. Marty Brown, kind of another big acquisition in this transfer portal for Cristobal. And I'm looking through it, and Ruben Bain with the only sack on the day for Miami. Let's see. Taking a look at more of these stats. Want to see. Oh, you know what? Speaking of younger guys, Bryce Fitzgerald comes in the game later on, gets a pick to not ice the game, but keep Bethune-Cookman out of the end zone later on in that game. Keep points off the board. So yeah, nothing too crazy today. I don't really have any big storylines or anything that's really changed off of this game at all. It's not as exciting as last week. Last week we did have all the excitement that was Notre Dame, everything that happened in that game, and just kind of seeing this team for the first time. But just second week, it looks very strong. Beck had more of a flashy showing than he did last week because, numbers 22 of 24, only 2 incompletions, had 15 straight completions in the middle of that game for his 267 and 2 TDs. So very good, really good game from Beck. Really good game for this Miami team. Not much else you could say. So you kind of saw a little bit of everything. Not too many different wrinkles in terms of the game plan. It seemed like for this Miami offense, not too much different. Aside from the fact that you got the tight ends involved by kind of trying to run plays to get them off into the flat. That's the big, I guess, new wrinkle I would say. They got Lofton involved a lot more Ballman that we saw trying to get him into the flat. A lot of screens again for this Miami team, but you're playing conservatively. You're just trying to get through this game healthy, and so Miami receivers very willing blockers, I'll say, because Miami threw a lot of screens today, and you really got to see the effort that those receivers kind of put out trying to block on the edge. And on the perimeter for their guys. So I got to commend that heavily. And yeah, I think that's everything. Kind of covered a little bit of everything. We'll get more into it Monday night, Primetime Live, kind of looking at this. Looking forward to next week. USF, speaking of which, USF taking out Florida, they could be a lot more tough of a team to handle than previously expected. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting to kind of see how this game unfolds next week for Miami. Could be a bit of a trap game. You come off a very easy week this week, not really battle tested. Going to fight a USF team that has, just taken down Florida, played, but just 2-0, beat 2 ranked teams to start their season, beat the team that you're going to see 2 weeks from now in Florida that everybody's looking at like, oh, could this be the top of the class in Florida, kind of going up against each other? Does not look like it. Florida looked very rough in that game, very undisciplined. Similarly to Jalen Carter spitting at a guy to kind of lose your team the game. Very rough. Lagway did not look great. So that'll be interesting to looking forward 2 weeks from now, but now looking forward to next week when you play this USF team. That will be competitive. They will fight, and I think they probably should be ranked after two straight, upset wins against ranked teams. One of which was dominating. If you look at that game against Boise State, so yeah, that will be a tough game looking towards next week. So as for this week, like I said, wasn't too scary, wasn't too much of a fight. 45-3, pretty much what you expect. I think Miami averages 50-point margin of victory against Bethune-Cookman, if I'm not wrong. So a little bit under that, but you can't really ask for much more than what Miami did. I think you pretty much score on almost every single drive. I'm going to double check that, but you score on pretty much, let's take a look. Yeah, I think you score on almost all of your drives on the night, which can't really ask for much more than that. You lose the time of possession game, but that's because you're driving down the field consistently for very long drives. Only thing I'll say negatively in terms of Miami's defense was Bethune. I mean, I think you're playing off coverage just because it's not you're not taking them too seriously. The receivers that beat you downfield, but Miami did get beat on those screen passes. Kind of guys shut in tackles, driving forward. Bethune's. Let's see how many total first downs did they get. The 14 first downs on the game. Those were usually the plays that got them that. A couple of penalties. Really dumb one on Wesley Bissainthe. I didn't really think it was targeting, but the refs called it, reviewed it, and ejected him. So, you win some, you lose some. And yeah, that's pretty much the general, pretty much everything. Not too much to take away from this game. It's the game that you pay guys to come down here just to keep guys warm and get ready for next week. Definitely looking at USF as a team to definitely look out for going into next week, and should not be a team that the Hurricanes take lightly for any reason whatsoever. So Byron Brown, kind of electric runner. That defense held down Florida, made DJ Lagway look very rough. Had a very rough game. So, what's up with the kicking game? Great question, Jake. I think it's why do we play three kickers? Everybody, they all look fine from everything I saw. We played three kickers, but I think it's just I think it's just to get guys in there. Carter Davis handled all the extra points. Bert Auburn took his single kick of the game. Will Rocha, I think is his name, is the other kicker. I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about, but I think it's just more of you're in a big blowout game, let a guy get in for a play. I mean, you got Carter Davis hit the 2 extra points for Miami. Carter Davis hit 3 extra points for Miami. Bert Auburn hit a field goal and 2 other ones. You could say that it makes you a little bit nervous. Feels like nobody won the job, but at the same time, you saw what Carter Davis did last week. I think they're just keeping guys fresh in case somebody's cold at a certain point where, it's fair. None of these kickers are very proven, but given the fact that they trusted Davis to kind of step in and go and kick that game-winning field goal last week, kind of makes me know who they trust, because otherwise Bert Auburn we didn't see at all in the biggest game, the biggest game probably that Miami's going to play this season outside of postseason play will be that Notre Dame game, in all likelihood. So, Carter Davis looked good, and that's really he did what he needed to do. So I'm pretty sure he won that job, because that's the guy who Miami sent out when the game was on the line and they needed a guy to make kicks. You toss other guys in for bits and stretches just because you need other guys to stay warm, be ready in case one of these guys goes cold, because none of them are really proven. But I don't think it's anything to really worry about why Miami played 3 kickers. It's nothing too much. Especially Bert Auburn's one field goal it was the last points in the game for Miami to put them up 45. Only field goal Miami took for the entire game. So I don't think it's anything to worry about. I think it's 2 extra points. I mean, just thinking about it, yeah, it's 2 extra points and his 1 field goal. We're all when Miami put their backups in. And thank you. Yes, go Canes. And on that note, I think that's all I have to say because this game was not much to really talk about. I appreciate the group that came out, and yes, we got to crush the rest of these Florida teams. FSU, they put up 70, which I mean they probably didn't need to put up 70, but they did what they did what they need to do, and they're going to be a tough team to beat. It looks like because Thomas Castellanos and that team they're rolling, they're hot. So looking a few weeks from now, these other Florida teams, we're about to go on the stretch of where you're playing a bunch of them. Between USF, Florida, and FSU, you're about to hit the gauntlet in terms of Florida teams you're going to have to face, and you got to be ready. It's going to be a tough string of weeks for Miami just because you play those 2 tough weeks back to back. You do have a bye before the FSU game, but you do have to go to FSU, and that will be a tough game to play. But we will see how it all unfolds. But for now, see you Monday. I'm Shane McDonald for Miami Hurricane, for Voice of College Football Miami. Have a good night.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.